So they'll be calling you a radical. Let's get to the good news, and then we'll get a lot of bad news. The good news is that nightmare in Belgium shut down last night. It's done. It's one of the most dangerous nuclear reactors in all of Europe. Well, it could be second. Of course, the Big Z is the most dangerous. So, in Ukraine, the French disasters, they're having to shut down reactors left and right. In Japan, Takahama went into shutdown. Yeah, you read the internet and you look over the internet, it just proves the propaganda machine of the nuclear energy crime syndicate. Renaissance turnaround, nuclear energy. What are you talking about? 57 nuclear reactors in Japan. There's only 2 or 3 that are on. And this one went into shutdown. And you think they're going to tell you that? And they said it was a radiation detector monitor inside that went off. Oh, none to see. Oh, yeah, they're going to tell you the truth, like they did on Fukushima. It's unbelievable. And by the way, the United States runs the nuclear energy crime syndicate in Japan, not Japan, the 51st state. So Germany, Renaissance turn. What are you talking about? All they did was delay the shutdown from January 1st to April 1st. There's 20 reactors in Germany when Fukushima happened. There's 3. Angela Merkel's a nuclear physicist. She made the decision to shut them all down. I mean, hello. Huh. The last, including the most state-of-the-art reactor in the world, was under construction. Well over 75, shut it down, mothballed it. I mean, again, she's a nuclear physicist. So, of course, Dana Dunford has had a massive heart attack. So, I don't know all the details, but I talked to him. He's alive this morning. He says they're trying to stabilize him to move him to the major hospital. He's in the small unit near his home, but he's had a massive heart attack. And I asked him, what's the prognosis? And we'll quote him, not good. But we don't know, and we're all praying for him. Whether you hate Dana or you love Dana or you're indifferent, his dedication to fighting the nuclear energy crime syndicate, his passion to fighting the nuclear energy liars is impeccable. And so we're all praying for Dana. We need him. He emailed me when he had or texted me when he had the, heart attack. I did his show Sunday night. After the show, he had the massive heart attack. I was talking about my heart attack. So what's the odds of both of us having a heart attack at the same time? And I said, a couple 100 million to 1. So, anyway, the nuclear energy crime pork is flying out the window left, right, and taxpayers in the United States love it. By the way, if NewScale can go public with a fairy tale, I think I'll take the Easter Bunny public. I mean, investors in this country, they've turned the United States stock market into the United States Federal Reserve's freaking roulette wheel. It's their blackjack table. There's no rhyme or reason to any of this. Same with they did to the housing market. Ayn Rand, Greenspan, you seen the debt? Let's see, third world shithole countries. Remember these kids that teach us? Reeling out of control, debt, hyperinflation, crumbling infrastructure, corrupt politicians, corrupt courts. Don't drink the fucking water. Shithole America, because we need billionaires. When the tax rate on the likes of Bezos, Musk, Gates in 1979 was 99%. There were no billionaires in this country. This country spit at them, looked down at them. They knew what happened in 29. They knew what happened in the 30s. Then in 1999, it was 40%, 39.6%. Then here comes Obama-dumber, Trumpy. Oh God, Bush-dumb, Obama-dumber. Trump done is sliding with senile Biden. Each one of them slashed the tax rate on the billionaires. I mean, Trump knocked it to 15%. Obama knocked it down to about 29%. But then Biden, his tax reform. Biden's tax reform basically knocked it to zero. You think there's two parties. The cover up of Fukushima, the hallmark of the trilogy, the three greatest criminals who ever walked. If you don't believe that, you're a fool. These meltdowns, Dana and I have documented it heavily, heavily, heavily. And what have we got for us? Heart attacks. I mean, my heart attack, his heart attack, he'd been having issues for a while. As you know, health issues. Been in and out of the clinics. Liver, kidney. I told him a long time ago, I thought it was his heart. Because he was so fatigued, and I don't know the extent of his heart attack, and he probably doesn't know for sure yet, because he says they're trying to stabilize him, before they move him. Then they'll go in. The only way they know is they have to go in your groin and in or your wrist, and explore the heart to see the extent of the damage. My heart was perfect. I was born with a bad heart murmur, heart defect. My father nuked it in the vat test site. My beautiful, incredible mother, 110-pound pin-up artist model. She didn't know she had twins in there. We were preemies. She nearly died in childbirth. We were both really sick, and I had the heart murmur from the mutation from my father being nuked in the Nevada test site. This is a guy who never had a cold in his life, never had a cavity in his life, died in the prime of his life of leukemia. All those guys, you think about a government, would they take their own men, 40,000 of them. He was the very first one, Airblast 1. And human lab rat them. My dad told me, you lab rat them? There were cages with naked people in them. They used prisoners and took them in and put them on ground. I mean, these are the monsters. The Department of Energy, they blackballed Oppenheimer. They blackballed all these guys, Sokolov, all these guys. Well, they found Teller, propped him up. These creeps. Jeff Bezos' grandpa, Geis, the original Department of Nuclearism. They opened up the spigot on the Manhattan Project. They never shut it off. It's called the Department of Energy. Billions and billions. And then they passed a law called Price-Anderson in the 50s called the Immunity Act. When you were off bombing people in Iraq who never did anything to you, Congress upped it for another 20 years because who owns Congress? You think these politicians are dumber than sticks. I deal with them constantly at the state level, well, even at the federal level. I know both my senators personally. They're puppets. They're nothing but puppets. They don't know shit. And there's no resistance. What happened to Greenpeace? What happened to Sarah Club? What happened? They got bought by the Nuclear Energy Crime Syndicate. Everybody in this country is all in about their money and their status. They think their status, your health is your wealth. So my heart defect, I always had that bad heart murmur. Like my uncle, family member is one of the most famous heart surgeons in the world. He dealt me with a lot when I was young. Kick the can, Kevin. You can't go through this surgery. At some point you will have to. Well, then I got cancer. And got AML leukemia. Fall of 2011, de novo, which is cancer presents tumors at a marker of 44, which is unsurvivable. Went into the bone marrow transplant at LDS and got heavily, came on my Fukushima fish hook. I got so many scars on me now, post 2011. What timing? And really had no chance to live. Too sick for transplant. I think, even the doctors thought I would die. Walked the coast, fought back against the nuclear energy crime, fought for the mighty blue lady. And anyway, so my heart valve was failed. I exhausted $1 million I had. They put me on Medicaid. Mike Lee in 2015, his idealistic stand kicked all single males off Medicaid. I was one of them. Had no safety net, had no money, had no nothing. Nobody would treat me. I'm bleeding out my nose, my face. A guy named Michael Hawkins at Ogden Regional Medical Center. I saw him 3 times. Represented that he was a doctor. He ain't no doctor. It's fraud. He told me to go see my dentist. I collapsed in my yard. Full blown out collapsed aortic valve. They replaced it in May of 2017. I started having issues with it earlier this year. I could tell it was that valve. So it's burning me right here. It's shooting up I'm just deteriorating. I mean, I was a beast. Muscles all over me, and my body's just falling apart. I'm dropping weight. I'm being ravished. They're blaming it on neuropathy. They're blaming it on, this went on for months. When you go, and this is my checkups for the valve, my heart doctor. When I'm going right to my heart doctor, his PA, his other PA, and I'm like, it's my heart, my valve. Why do they bother even having checkups? No, it's not. No, it's not. Yeah, it is. Well, nobody listens to me. My general practitioners, all these doctors wouldn't listen to me. I had to fight and argue even after I had 2 heart attacks. So I had a heart attack on Christmas Eve morning. I didn't go to the emergency room. Afraid of them. Then I had another one New Year's Day. So I got into my dental doctor, and he still wouldn't believe me. He scheduled a stress test after I asked him to. So just do it in the next 3 weeks. I called him and said, yeah, come in the next morning. As soon as they hooked me up, they're like, your infraction's completely gone. We got emergency put a pacemaker in you now. They were ready for pacemaker, and it was the head butcher. He heard me and my daughter talk. Did you mean to tell me you had? Yeah, we've been trying to tell him he probably had 2 heart attacks. And then, he started arguing with him. Then multiple doctors got involved. Finally, they ran the blood test, and they're like, yeah, looks like there's been an event. Then they decided to go in. They went in my wrist. They're like, God, the heart's clean. It's clean. It's perfect. But they stayed with it. They went into my groin. Talk about bruised up. They stayed in it. Thank God, I got some great doctors this time. And once I got in system, he said, there it is. I see some coloration right at the top of that valve, just like you said. Then they go down my throat. Sure shit. I talked to the doctor after the surgery. It took 5 days to stabilize me for the surgery. Scary 5 days. Put a temporary pacemaker on my neck. He came in and told me the truth. The good doctor. No. Just like you said, that valve was all gummed up. And it put the pressure right at the top and it ripped that artery. I just saw my perfectly good artery. It was perfectly good because they wouldn't listen to me because of that bad valve. Then he slipped and says, well, I got the bigger valve in. So what do you mean bigger valve? I didn't know there was a difference. Yeah. Apparently before they didn't. It was a bad valve replacement. It worked, they're supposed to work for 10 to 15 years at least. 5, it made it, barely. Nearly cost me my life. I don't know, that's what even he said. I don't know how you're alive. But it's brutal. What I've been through, we've been through, Mother Earth has been through, the Pacific Ocean been through, what Dana's been through now. It's brutal. Take on the nuclear energy crime syndicate. This all coincidence? No. But I know one thing will happen to the Pacific Ocean and the world ecology. And I want to say this. Tucker Carlson and all these idiots, they're saying the wells that are washing up on the East Coast are from wind. Why would they hate wind? What does it matter with these psychos? They're dying of starvation. And these people that are coming in, just like they did on the California coast and the Oregon coast, we're going to do an autopsy. And they're standing up there in all their gear, yeehawing with chainsaws and acting. You know how freaking karma you just threw on yourself? You're cutting up a sacred hallowed. There's nothing more sacred and hallowed than a well. They're plankton feeders, by the way. Oh, we'll get back to think you're doing autopsies and cut them up with chainsaws. You know what kind of karma you put on you? I mean, I remember when they put the one in the dump. They cut it up, put it up in the dump when I was fighting with Half Moon Bay. It's people that put it in the dump, number one, against the law. Yeah, I don't think people have any clue. I mean, we come from the ocean. There's nothing more hallowed and sacred than a humpback whale, than a gray whale. Nothing. Nothing. Moby Dick on Balco on chemo. And you do that? You know what kind of karma you're throwing on yourself? You're fools. When you can obviously see they've starved to death. They're full of cancer. That's been well documented now. Kevin Blanch's hypothesis and all that work I did, boots on the ground, why freaking in critical condition? It took me a year and a half to 3 years to convince anybody on Earth this was even a watermelon. Gunnar Shield called it a hydrogen blast for 7 years. The IAEA didn't even rank it a 7 until year 7. Oh, just a 7. The scale only goes to 7. The IAEA going to save you? Which was invented by the Nuclear Energy Crime City, which deals in they're their own nation in Vienna. They deal in cash. And trust me, I know. I've been there lots of times. You should see, it's all cash. It's a criminal enterprise that was propped up during the 30s and the 40s. Ferme on Balco, I bet $1 it kills everybody in New Mexico. They don't care. I mean, these are monsters for own personal wealth. They think control your health is your wealth. I mean, these people are sickos. And the number one cash cow in the history of mankind is the Nuclear Energy Crime City. The hundreds of $billions a year that goes to the nuclear energy fairy tale. Nuclear fission, salt reactors, thorium reactors, SM, there's no such thing. It's just a big loot job, and price enters, then you have to pay it back. So Dana's status is not good. He's in a clinic, but I will quote his words. What's the prognosis? Not good, but I don't think they know for sure yet. He told me this morning they're getting him stable, try to move him. And then I think we'll know more, but I told him, I says, number one, 90% of any war with the heart failure or a heart attack is making it to a hospital alive. And he's done that. He's a tough dude. My guess, I mean, we're all praying for him. You know, we need him. Hate him, love him, indifferent. You know, he's such a controversial figure, which it has to be that way. His dedication to this fight is unbelievable. You know, my dedication's been my whole life. You know, your health is your wealth. So they shut down that nightmare in Belgium. That's a big deal to you in Europe. That nuclear reactors at night. They're shutting down lots of them in France. They're having all kinds of issues. You know, all these reactors. They're old, they're tired, they're worn out. Hell of a way to boil a planet, Kevin Blanch, 2011. Hell of a way to boil water. 1951, Albert Einstein, one of the greatest anti-nuclear activists, peace activists. But we've thrown that all out the window because we're all in on the military-industrialized war machine. And then when we wonder why we have $31 trillion in debt, well, where does it all go? Nuclear energy crimes. I want you to think about if 20% of that money that they've sucked up for 80 years on this fairy tale and just lies to us, where's it gone? Make a bunch of people freaking filthy, stinking, freaking rich. That's where it's gone. If it had went to real solutions, wind. Somehow this is the new narrative on Fox News, Operation Foxconn News, who was set up to destroy this country, run right out of the House of Windsor. Remember Maxwell's dad, when he moved into New York City in the 80s, tried to buy up the newspapers? Everybody freaked out, and the United States says, no, we have laws. You have to be born and raised in the United States to own media. How did that change? Contract on America, Newt Gingrich, term delay, Dennis Hassler. Now, where's Dennis Hassler? The moral majority. They changed the law. Fox News rolled in. Rupert Murdoch is a disciple of Rhodesius. Cecil Rhodes. Oh, read about him. Well, why would we not form secret societies to take battles ours? The United States is rightfully ours. They never accepted that, defeated the Revolutionary War. How did they do it? One, by jet stream, two, by cable TV. So Dana's fighting for his life. And so I don't know a lot, but he did text me and told me about it. His first text to me, what's the odds Kevin Blanch and Danny Dunford both having heart attacks at the same time? I'm like, what? And then I don't know the severity, but he said it's not good, but I think over time we'll find out, and I think he'll let the world know, and so that's all I know. And we're praying for him, but he's a tough dude, really tough dude. You know, if anybody can survive, he can. It's been a hell of a battle. 12 years going on Fukushima. All we ever did was tell the truth and do the field work. That's the important part of this. We did the field. There's 50 million fainting goats in California. They're too busy driving up and down freaking 5 in their shiny coffin. Look at me, bling, 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 bling. To even think about trying to document the crash tide pools, to think about it in Oregon and Washington, documenting the salmon collapse. It blows my mind, actually. I mean, all coincidence when the tide pools crashed in 95%? The starfish is well documented. My work has been documented now. There's data all over out there after the fact, 10 years after the fact, saying that the crash started in 2012 and 13 on the starfish, and they're down 95%. Well documented. The salmon, the steelhead, down 90 to 99%. Well documented. Kevin Blanch's work. And I want people to understand this. 2005, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, we were having some of the greatest comebacks on the Pacific Ocean, all oceans in world history, on whales, on salmon. The humpbacks were taken off the endangered list in 2009. And then they reverse immediately and crash. The salmon numbers had record. Schnook salmon, everybody's laughing at me. You're full of shit, Blanche. 2011, 12, 13, 14, 15. The Columbia River had the live cam up there. They're doing videos all over. Look at this. Record numbers, 1.4 million big, healthy beasts. I'm like, they go to sea for 5 years. They'll crash in 2016. Will you believe me then? Yeah, but that ain't going to happen. Oh, did it? The Chinook salmon radically collapsed. The crab collapse. The whale collapse. I mean, it's a chain reaction. Breaking news, fish swim. Big fish, 99% crash in the anchovies and sardines in 2013, and still there. Hello. Fukushima, 3 full core meltdowns. MOX fuel, one of the biggest loads on Earth hanging there. We made it illegal, so what'd they do? They shipped it to Japan. Blown to smithereens, and all they did was cover it up. That's all they did. Rahm Emanuel, why is he the ambassador to Japan? Because he was in the situation on the cover-up. I mean, it's unbelievable what they've done to the island of Japan. Well, think about Hiroshima and Nagasaki. To this day, we've never seen the real footage, the real carnage. I mean, the nuclear energy crime syndicate owns this country. And, the greatest ecological catastrophe in human history. You're telling me why are we so afraid of nuclear meltdowns until they happen? We've never had nuclear meltdowns in the history of mankind till March 11, 2011, Fukushima. Never happened at Chernobyl. It was a graphite partially fueled reactor that blew up, 700,000 men entombed. I mean, SMR accidents? I don't know. Oh, yeah, nasty. How about Santa Susana? Terrible. 3 Mile Island. Nothing like this, nothing even close. So for every action, there's a reaction, right? That's Science 101, kiddies. You learn that in the 3rd grade. It's a basic fundamental foundation of any logic, science. So you're telling me full blown out nuclear meltdown, they've never got near the course, never to this day. They've sent on robot after robot, can handle 15,000, 20,000, 30,000, can't get near. Leslie Stahl, the Lake Bear, who I know personally. Well, Lake, where are these cores? See those holes? See the Pacific Ocean? It's like going to the moon. Way bigger than that. This has never happened before. It took them 2,888 days to tell you on 60 Minutes what Kevin Blanch told you in 1 hour. I've been all over this. I've been fighting them forever. I used to write paper after paper after paper on Mach 1, Mach 2s. Weber State University, who is GE, build them. I knew that these Mach 1, Mach 2s can only handle up to about a 7.6, 7.7 on the spent fuel pools. TikTok, Diablo Canyon. Everybody talks about these cores. There's 40 years of spent fuel stacked up in these reactors. They were never built for it. They're swimming pools. They can't handle it. And that's just everything. The Zerk fires, I mean, they have massive, some of the biggest loads of spent fuel on the face of the earth at Fukushima, Japan. Where's it at? Go get a bone marrow biopsy and check your bone marrow. I've had 13 of them. You know, they go into your hip, dig into your bone marrow. You know, everything that's happened post-Fukushima, including longevity, started heading south in 2012, including the pandemic, including the tide pool collapse, including the well collapse, including the freaking anchovies and sardine collapse, including the salmon collapse, including the trees and the greatest heat bubble in the history of, the greatest drought in 1,200 years over the western United States. You know, we're going to chalk it all up to coincidence. Well, in science, coincidence doesn't get it. Dana and I's heart attacks at the same time, coincidence? Well, 12 years of carrying this burden? 12 years of this? Not to mention, nobody else on the face of the earth could get away with this. The slander. I'm in critical condition. Thank God I did all those videos in them. I mean, the management used to get mad at me. They encourage it now. Central line hanging on my jugular, that's sucked up to 119 pounds, video proof, unarguable. Freaking, these guys are slandering me, attacking me, going after me. Dozens of Facebook pages. They're gone now. Most of them. Dozens of YouTube sites. 100% committed to slandering Kevin Blanch while he's in critical condition. For what? Doing the greatest PhD in human history? I did the work. I'm sleeping in a sleeping bag on the freaking tides. That tide pool work alone? We're talking of the most historic low tides in decades. All of them up and down that California coast, that low tide. You know how hard that is to do? Gliding across that raw footage by hundreds of hours. Right there on YouTube for God and everybody to see. Such historic work, such incredible grassroots PhD. First you hypothesize the knowledge. These are full-blown out meltdowns. They're going to lie. They're going to lie. They're going to push the energy into the Pacific. It's going to break the chain. First the starfish will go. Then the steelhead salmon will go. Because they go to sea 1 to 2 years, the half-pounders. The anchovies and sardines. It will be a chain reaction. The staff of life. What did the starfish say to the 60,000-pound humpback? I remember woman at Half Moon Bay. I'm walking. It's a dead well. Oh my God, Kevin. Radiation can't kill a 60,000-pound well. I never said it did. It killed its food. It starved to death. Hello? This is a starvation event. It's so obvious. It's as obvious as the scars all over my body. You broke the chain. You promised you would never break the chain. What did the 60,000-pound humpback whale say to the starfish? To the Upper California purple urchin? To the sea anemone? To the little fries? Salmon? To the anchovies and sardine? Fukushima killed my food. The starfish replies to the 60,000. Well, the sea anemone, the Upper California purple urchin, the anchovy, the sardine. We too. The gray whale migration has collapsed when it was freaking increasing radically. They're starving to death. Hello. Your very own mother. We all evolved from the sea. You know, it used to be such a sacred, hallowed thing. People used to understand. Now we just let them gang rape or everybody stands back and claps. Not me. Not me. The Great Pacific. Hang in there, Dana. Fight on. We got your back. Stand tuned.